Hi, I'm John. This is my show at American Scheme where I am proving that Diana Ross is Michael Jackson's actual mother. So when I had the first instinct that Diana Ross could be Michael Jackson's actual mother, right? So I'm not like a historian. I never studied Diana Ross's history, like the creation of Motown, Smokey Robinson, nothing. I have no knowledge of how that existed. I don't have all this knowledge of Michael and Diana's relationship. I know some things, but I haven't studied it and stuff, right? So when I went to look and investigate to see if it was possible for Diana Ross to be Michael Jackson's mother, if she was not his mother, I should not have found this stuff. It's as simple as it could be. The only way that this stuff actually exists in the timeline and in the fashion that it exists is because she is his mother. If I went and did this investigation, if Diana Ross was not Michael Jackson's mother, I should have never found this stuff. This stuff should never have existed and stuff, right? But it does. And this is the one thing that I just try and show the fans is like, look at, how can this stuff exist if my story's wrong? Why did I find this stuff? I didn't find this stuff and create a story. I just came up with an idea. Hey, could Diana Ross be Michael Jackson's mom? I went and investigated. You go look at the actual dates and the timelines, events of what are occurring, and you see, does it match up? Does it line up? And when I show you this stuff, it's like, dude, not only does it line up, it really lines up, and it explains everything. So, right? So, the first thing I had to study is what was the time where Michael Jackson's conceived. Because now here's another thing. I mean, that's a big part. Okay, so Diana Ross we definitely know she's in Motown. She's in Detroit, right? And Michael Jackson's definitely in Gary, Indiana. He's being raised in that house. So for me to be able to link that up when I first have the idea, how could Diana Ross be Michael Jackson's mother? First of all, you got to understand the big problem of what I've got instantly. Michael's in Gary, Indiana, and Diana's in Detroit. So instantly, there's like a big problem with that, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's like when you would know the basic, if you have basic information about the details of these people's lives, you wouldn't be putting a story together that Michael's the son of Diana Ross, because all the facts of the story prove that Diana Ross is in Detroit and Michael's in Gary, Indiana. So it's like right there's just a huge problem. That's a huge gap to have to overcome of how did that occur? How could it have possibly have occurred and stuff, right? So like I said, I have to study the time of when was Michael Jackson conceived? How could it have been possible that he could have been conceived in Detroit, right? And then you come to this video. You find this video.
But who was your first love, though? Yeah, who was that?
You mean, are you talking about man, or are you talking about man love?
Oh, yeah, I should have specified that. I'm sorry.
Smokey Robinson was my first love. I really loved him. You know, I have stories. People think my life or my career started with Motown, but really it started with Smokey. Smokey lived on Belmont. We lived on the same street. Mm-hmm. I was very close with his cousin, Sharon Burston. Mm-hmm. And I used to sleep over. You know, I kids had sleepovers at Sharon's house, and I used to listen to the Miracles sing in the basement. And that was before I came to Motown. That was before the Supremes. And to me, I loved him. Because there was a time where when I first heard his record on the radio and I realized that you might be able to sing and make a record, I mean, it was like major time. So I think maybe first love of maybe with Smokey.
Okay, so now what she's talking about, she pins down the exact date of the events of what she's talking about, because she says, I heard Smokey's song on the radio, and I realized that you can actually make a song and it could be on the radio. These are major times. So look at the emphasis of what she's putting on that moment in time in history, and about hearing and the importance of hearing Smokey Robinson's song on the radio. That's major time. I realized you can actually make a song and it can be on the radio. That's major time. So right there, she's telling you that moment in time is a super important time in her life. What does she tell you? She tells you that it wasn't Motown that's how she started her career. It was Smokey. It was her relationship with Smokey is how everything started before the Supremes. Before everything happened, she had this relationship with Smokey Robinson. Then what does she also tell you? That she's really close friends with Smokey Robinson's, she says cousin, I think, but it's his niece. She's really close friends with Smokey Robinson's niece, Sharon Burston. And because she's close with Sharon, that enables her to sleep over in Smokey Robinson's house. But she's not just sleeping in his house. She's in love with Smokey Robinson. She's got this young girl crush. Smokey's this little older guy. He sings and stuff. She thinks he's beautiful. She thinks he's charismatic. She loves Smokey Robinson. She's really good friends with him. She's sleeping over in his house. Now, this is the exact moment in time of where Michael Jackson was conceived. So the actual time, and you go to August 29th, Michael Jackson's birthday. You go back and you find out, because he's born in 58, so you go back to where he would have been conceived. So like right around the beginning of 1958, maybe just a little bit before that. So right there, right? And you go back and you find that at that exact time, what's occurring in these people's lives is that Smokey just hooked up with Berry Gordy in August of 1957. He starts recording a song which gets released in February of 1958. Okay? So, and right at that time, Diana she told you that she's in love with Smokey Robinson and she's sleeping in his house. But what has she also witnessed occurred? She witnessed Smokey hook up with Berry Gordy. She witnessed Smokey being in a record studio and recording a record. And at that time is where I say at that moment, because of those events, then she had sex with him. Now, does she have like the motive? Is there a motive for her to sleep with? She's in love with Smokey. You know, Smokey's hooking up with Berry Gordy and she's on the verge of moving out of the neighborhood. She's going to move out, and a couple months later, her family moves out off of that street. They move to another part of Detroit, right? To the Brewster Douglas housing projects. She moves over there. So that's motive. She's in love with Smokey. She sees that Smokey is moving towards becoming a professional singer, and she's got aspirations of doing that too, because she, like she said, I heard Smokey's song on the radio, and that was like a major time. So she's got aspirations of being a singer and entertainer. Everybody wants to be a star, right? So does she have motive to sleep with Smokey? Hell yeah, she's got motive to sleep with Smokey. There's definitely motive there, and it's all explained in this video. She's in love with Smokey Robinson. And then you say it's motive and opportunity. Now, did she have the opportunity to have sex with Smokey Robinson? She's got the motive, but does she have the opportunity? She just told you. She's sleeping in his house. She's sleeping in Smokey Robinson's house because she's best friends with Smokey Robinson's niece, Sharon Burston. So she sleeps over at her friend Sharon's house. So at the end of the night, when everybody's gone home, she's there with Smokey. She's got motive and opportunity. Oh, she tells you who she's in love with. She tells you what's occurring at that time. And she tells you that she's sleeping in the house of the person that ends up being who I think is Michael Jackson's father. So right here in this one video, when I went to search, could Diana Ross be Michael Jackson's mom? And I don't even know Smokey's the father yet. I don't know how this has happened, right? I don't know how this has happened. But see, that's the thing, is when it's Smokey, and it's Smokey in that relationship to Berry Gordy, and then you find out that Berry Gordy and Joe Jackson are the same age. And you find out that they were both fighting in the Golden Gloves at the same time in their life. And then after they left the Golden Gloves, they both pursued careers in the music industry. And Chicago and Detroit are not that far. I say Chicago, Gary, but it's because Chicago is the Chicago blues. The big music scene that was occurring would have been the Chicago music scene. Would have been one of the major. You would have had like New York, but that's like jazz. It's a different style of music and stuff. You have the big jazz music scene that's coming out. Chicago is the Chicago blues, right? So Chicago is a huge big thing as far as like black culture, black music history and stuff, right? The Chicago blues scene is a major part, and Joe Jackson is right in there. And Berry Gordy, because he's a songwriter, Berry Gordy is also involved in that Chicago blues scene through like Chess Records is one I specifically mentioned and stuff. But Berry Gordy's writing songs for artists that are like in that Chicago blues music scene. Berry Gordy's they know each other. That's what I say is that, and so Berry Gordy, to get rid of that kid, it had to be a super important person. For Berry Gordy to step up and intervene, he would only intervene for a type of person who, when you see this, it's Smokey. It's because Smokey is the guy that he met, and they started to build their record company around. They become best friends. They talk about each other being best friends. So that's the other thing, is like, does Berry Gordy have the motive to get rid of that kid? And the opportunity with him being friendships with Joe Jackson, same thing, motive and opportunity. Is it there? Yeah, it's there. It's there too. When you go look at Berry Gordy's motive and opportunity to help intervene to get rid of the kid. Does he got motive to get rid of the kid? Yeah, because if Smokey Robinson, who's 18, has a kid from a 14-year-old girl in the neighborhood, that's scandal. And Berry Gordy's trying to build his record company around Smokey Robinson, the first band signed to Motown, the first band, the Miracles. Yeah, he's got motive. Does he have opportunity? Yeah, because him and Joe Jackson are old friends. That's how he had the motive and the opportunity to take that kid and put him over in the Jackson's house. Now, see what I'm saying? This is just one video. Look at the evidence of what is put forth, the information that's put forth in less than 2 minutes. In less than 2 minutes of her speaking, she put forth information that shows you that it's directly connected to the exact moment in time of where Michael Jackson would have been conceived, and it shows you what was occurring and why they would have had to get rid of the kid because of the other things that were occurring at that time. And like I said, could this be possible that this incident would have occurred and played out in this same exact way if she didn't get pregnant by Michael, if she didn't have sex with Smokey and get pregnant, would it still have played out the same way where she gets into Motown, she becomes the lead singer of Supremes, she ends up dating Berry Gordy, she has her first known child from Berry Gordy? See what I'm saying? It's like, the stuff just piles on. It piles and piles on. When you understand that Diana Ross got pregnant by Smokey Robinson, and because it was right after Smokey Robinson met Berry Gordy that they gave that child away to the Jackson family. And so that's what I'm saying. It's like, does my story, my explaining, when you go back and look at the actual timeline and events that have occurred, does my story hold up? And it's like, God damn, it holds up. Not only does it hold up, it flourishes and it progresses and it shows you more evidence and everything of the natural progression that happens with these people. It shows you my story is the one that explains how the things lined up and how it worked that way, right? So, like I said, I could just keep showing you stuff over and over and over again, but it's just like there's just too much stuff, right? So this is in 1970 on the Merv Griffin show, 1970. So the Jacksons come to Motown in 69. So you're talking about like within a period of a year after the Jacksons have come to Motown, then Diana Ross has this, she's doing this thing, but look at how she's speaking about Michael. Now remember, Michael's part of the big Jackson family who's signed to Motown. They're a Motown act. Why has Diana developed this relationship with Michael? How did this develop so quickly? Like I said, when you go and look at my story, and then you go look at the actual timeline of events that are occurring, my story saying that Diana's Michael's mom, and now Michael's come back to her and stuff, and now they're regaining their friendship. Is this the proper way that Diana would be acting at that time when you're relating it to my story? And then when you look the other way, is this a proper way for Diana to be acting if Michael's part of the Jacksons? Is this proper for her to be saying these things? Would she be acting this way? No, it's not proper. That's what I say is that my story, not only when you go look at it, my story invalidates the actions of what is taking place here because Diana Ross, it's inappropriate. Diana Ross should not be speaking this way. Diana Ross should not be acting this way. It's inappropriate. So my story, not only does my story actually explain what's actually occurring and it falls in the proper timeline of events of what's occurring, but my story also highlights that the actions that are actually taking place here are inappropriate. They should never be taking place. But they are taking place. Why? Because like I say, this stuff can only exist if my story's true. If my story was not true, it would not be happening this way. But it did happen this way because my story's true, right? So this is 1970, Diana Ross on the Merv Griffin show. Let's watch this.
We have one of them in the audience here with us.
Where?
We have Michael Jackson somewhere out there. Is he out there? Where is he? There he is. That's my child.
Hey.
That's Michael. You know, remember?
Don't you know anybody? Get a better seat?
He's been incognito.
Oh.
You know, they've made me work hard because I want to be something. I mean, I am. Michael has always been like a son or a brother or something to me, and they admire me sort of like, so I try very hard to keep up such an image for them. And when I do a show like this,
They usually sneak Michael in. I really didn't know he was going to be here. I heard about it, and I was hoping that he was here because it makes me a little bit stronger because I'm doing it basically for him.
You certainly have that.
Okay, so it makes her a little stronger because basically she's doing it for him. For him. We have one of them in the audience. One of them. There he is. That's my child. That's Michael. The way she says it. That's Michael. It's so like mother. It's the way she is speaking. Her speech patterns and what the words she's saying. Like I said, it's completely inappropriate. She says, they make me work hard because like I am, I've always been, she says, Michael's always been like a son or a brother to me. Like a son, always been. You just met this kid a year ago. This kid is part of the Jackson family, a big family with the mother and father. They're an act signed to Motown. How did she develop this kind of relationship with Michael? Why is she allowing herself to speak about this relationship with her and Michael? And she's just met the kid. Come on. It is ridiculous. And then why does she work harder? She's doing it basically for him, not for all children, not for the Jackson family. She specifically highlights, I'm doing it for him. Michael has always been like a son to me. This should not exist. These words should never exist. You should never ever be hearing these words unless my story is true. And like I said, when you go to line up my story and check the actual timeline and events that are occurring, you look at the moment of where Michael, and then it goes on, there's much more to it. Like I said, Michael's actually living in her house. There's all kinds of stuff. The first record, Diana Ross presents the Jackson 5. It's over and over of the stuff that is going on here. And like I said, these words of what she's saying, they could not be spoken. First, why is Michael even there? How did the Jacksons allow Michael to go by himself? And she says, usually they sneak him in. So you're going to tell me that somebody came up with a plan and said, let's go sneak Michael in because it makes Diana happy. And the Jacksons said, sure, take him. Take the goose that's laying the golden eggs for our family. Go ahead, take him. Go ahead, let him have this relationship with Diana Ross. Let him have these experiences and stuff. Sure, go ahead, take him. Take that kid. Go ahead. Have a good time, Michael. You go out and you live your life. You live your best life outside the family. Just don't forget about us, please. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that this could ever have happened. And like when you actually look at what's occurring, this could not have occurred. There would be another kid there. Like I could say, okay, there had to be at least one other kid. If Michael was part of the Jackson family and they want to go take Michael to go watch the show, there's got to be at least one other kid there. There's got to be at least one. But no, like she says, no, we've got one of them. We got one of them. Only one. There's only one that I care about. There's only one. There's one in the audience, you know. We got one of them, and they sneak him in because it makes me happier. It's just basically, it makes me work harder because basically I'm doing everything for him. Him. Just one of them. And what's she calling him? That's my child. That's Michael. That's my little Michael baby. That's Michael. Right? It's just like, come on. Come on. It's like I said, this stuff should not exist. If my story was not true, this stuff wouldn't exist. But it is there. Why is it there? Because my story's true. The only reason that this stuff would exist and be there for me to find it is that my story's true. So here's Michael Jackson's video, Leave Me Alone, right? And so he's going to be showing the tabloid papers. He's going to be throwing them down with like these saying, oh, these are the things that tabloids write about me and stuff, right? Because most of them were like that. Then most of them were stories that were tabloid stories. But let me show you when it gets to the Diana Ross one. Okay, so right here, Michael and Diana, same person. Okay, that was never a rumor. Michael and Diana, same person, that was never a rumor. There would never ever be a rumor that was Michael and Diana the same person. That's not a rumor that ever existed. So why would Michael throw that on there and create that rumor? Because first of all, he's able to do it because everybody knows that's ridiculous. Right? Michael and Diana is the same person. That's totally ridiculous. That's why he's able to throw it down on there, because it's so ridiculous. But Now, taken into the context of what I say, that Diana Ross is actually Michael Jackson's mother. Now, from that context, that understanding, and if you put the words Michael and Diana same person, well, yeah, they are kind of the same person because she's his mother. And look at how much they look alike and they act alike. Their mannerisms are so similar. Yeah, and she is his actual mother. So, once again, does this fit my story? Does this fit the normal world? Should this, like I said, should this have ever existed? Should that have ever, Michael and Diana, same person, that never did exist. Michael created that. Nobody created that rumor. Nobody was ever saying they were the same person. There's other rumors that exist and stuff, and there's Michael being the same person as other people, like maybe LaToya or Janet and stuff. There's rumors about that stuff, right? But not Michael and Diana. There's no rumor about Michael and Diana being the same person. That never existed. It's totally illogical. It makes no sense whatsoever, unless you take it under the context of what I'm saying, that Diana Ross is Michael Jackson's mother. Now, does that make sense? Michael and Diana, same person, when you understand that Diana is actually Michael's mother. Now, is there some understanding of that? Yes. Once again, my story holds up. My story fits with the timeline and events that are occurring. And like I said, they show it in their artwork and stuff. They show it in their life experiences. They show it in their interviews. But nobody ever could understand what was actually going on. That's why they were able to talk about it and show so much stuff, because nobody had a clue. Nobody could see it, and they were just throwing it right in your face, right? Over and over again, this was constantly happening. So then Diana Ross, talking about Michael.
Could be part of my family.
Yes.
We have a lot of the same bone structure and a lot of skin color.
Michael does now, because he's had it all done. You take that as a compliment?
You cannot. I refuse you to insult Michael. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
I love him,
Yeah.
and I don't like people making fun of him.
But
See, and so the guy instantly says, oh yeah, sure, Michael looks like you now because he's had all the surgeries and stuff. So instantly, the guy knows that there's something about Michael and Diana that they look alike. That's like common. So even though he made a joke, what he actually did do is endorse the rumor that Michael and Diana look alike. That's what he actually did, right? But what did Diana actually say? Michael could be part of my family. A lot of our bone structures the same, similar, and our skin color's the same, you know? Because we got the same bone. Michael could be part of my family because we have the same bone structure. I mean, how unusual of a thing. And then for her to even say Michael could be part of her family, like I go back again, Michael's part of the Jackson family with a mother and a father, and that Jackson family is signed to Motown. They're Motown artists. But Diana's got no reason inserting her life and transforming into one person, just Michael. Now, she didn't say Janet. She didn't say anything about Janet, because Janet's a big star by the time that this is happening, whatever. Janet's a big star. She's not talking about Janet. There's no Janet thing. And she would have watched Janet grow up. She knows Janet very well too, right? But it's not. She didn't build that kind of relationship with Janet. She didn't help Janet become a big star. She's not talking about how cute Janet is. Like, oh Janet, man, we could be part of the same family. We got the same bone structure. She's not talking about Janet. It's always about Michael. And like I said, should this exist? Should Diana Ross have ever said these words if Michael's part of the Jackson family, if they're not related, right? Would these words have ever existed? Would these words have ever come out of Diana Ross's mouth? Absolutely not. But when you hear my story, are these the kind of words that would come out of Diana Ross's mouth? Because she's trying to tell people, Michael's part of my family. We got the same bone structure. How could Michael have the same bone structure as Diana if he's not related to her? Like, it just doesn't make any sense for her to bring that up. It makes no sense. But, again, you take it in the context of my story that Diana Ross is actually Michael Jackson's mother. Now, does it make sense why she's doing that? Yes, it makes perfect sense. And it's perfectly understandable what she said and why she's saying it. Things that never, ever would exist unless my story's true. And this can't be coincidence. It happens over and over and over again. From the time of Michael Jackson's conception all the way to the time of Michael Jackson's death. It spans the whole, all these events occurred this way through Michael Jackson's entire existence. And I show you from the time of where he was conceived up until the time he was died. Is there something weird going on with this Diana Ross relationship situation? Can I prove that my story is true with the evidence of what they're given? Absolutely. It aligns perfectly. And it shows you that their story of what they told does not hold up anymore, right? So this is Michael Jackson's will. Let me just play it. And so right here it says, If any of my children are minors at the time, so all you need to see is the parts there is that if he's talking about his children, this is Will, and he nominates Catherine Jackson as guardian, okay, because he gave all his money to his children, so he named Catherine Jackson as guardian over his children and to watch over his finances and stuff, right? Then it says Catherine Jackson fails to survive me, so he's saying if Catherine Jackson dies or is not able to fulfill this obligation, then you see right there, it says I nominate Diana Ross as guardian, okay? So again, when you get to Michael Jackson's death, okay, so he gives stuff to his kids. Catherine Jackson is a guardian. Okay, but if Catherine can't do it, Michael's got this big family of brothers and sisters, right? That's the Jackson family. But Michael decides that if it can't be Catherine, then the person that he wants to put in that position is Diana Ross. You know, so come on. Should that have happened? Is Diana Ross that important of a person? If Michael was part of the Jackson family, right? And he did all this stuff with the Jackson 5. You know, he's got all these brothers and sisters, and they've got family. Michael's children are going to be the nieces and nephews of his, you know, brothers and sisters, and then the cousins of their children. That's the family. That's the Jackson family. Why would Michael take the kids out of the Jackson family, you know, of that circle, the family circle? Why would Michael, if it can't be Catherine, instantly he doesn't want anything to do with the rest of them? The person that he thinks is so important that he's got to put that person's name there is Diana Ross. It's a position that Diana Ross should not have been placed in. She should not have been placed in that position if Michael was caring about his children and their relationship to his true family, the Jackson family. But Michael obviously did not care about that. There's some overriding thing that is taking place here with the Diana Ross. There's something else. And like I said again, now, if Diana Ross was actually Michael Jackson's mother, does that explain why this would occur? Yes, it explains it again. Why would this occur? Because of this whole story about what I'm telling you. Diana Ross is actually Michael Jackson's mother. And when you look at the evidence and the whole timeline and chain of events that are occurring, it shows you from the moment of Michael Jackson's conception all the way to the moment of Michael Jackson's death, there's this connection to Diana Ross, and it shows you that my story lines up perfectly with the events that are taking place, and it constantly is highlighted to when you see them even interacting that Diana is acting abnormal with Michael. There's some abnormal relationship that is taking place with her and Michael, and she speaks about Michael in a very abnormal way, all the way from the moment where she meets him up to where later in her career when she's saying he could be part of my family because we got similar bone structure. And then you see, well, is Michael doing things too in his videos? Yeah, he's putting in his videos on a tabloid paper a rumor. He creates a rumor about Michael and Diana being the same person. How does that rumor even come into Michael's head? Why would he even do that when that was never, nobody has ever said that. Nobody has ever stated that rumor, but for some reason, Michael decides to create that rumor on his own. But when you actually look at it, it's not a rumor. It's the actual truth. They're basically, you could say they're the same person because she is actually his mother. I'm saying there's way too much. This is not coincidence. This is not possible to these chain of events of things that are occurring. I could show you 100 more pieces of evidence that lines up just the same way. And it's like people are going to keep telling me that it's coincidence that this is happening this way. You're going to brush it off to some stupid little explanation that you come up with because you can't deal with the reality. You don't care about Michael Jackson's actual life experience of what he had to go through, which if without that life experience, then he does not become the entertainer of what we know. Because like I said, the songs are written about this stuff, like Billie Jean, Beat It, Dirty Diana, Leave Me Alone. There's a whole bunch of them and stuff, right? Those songs never could have existed if Michael didn't have his real life experience of what I'm talking about. Then if he didn't have those experiences, he never would have wrote those songs. So those songs would never ever be in existence. They wouldn't exist. So would Michael Jackson be the artist he is if he doesn't have Billie Jean? If he doesn't have the Billie Jean video, if he doesn't have all of these experiences and things that he's gone through, would his art even be the same? Would Michael Jackson be the king of pop? Would he be this giant star? Or who knows exactly what would have transpired? How would it have happened? Who knows what would have happened? But it would be different. And if it's different, then it's just as easy to say that he could have been nobody and nobody ever would have heard of him. as that he would have made it. The chances are just as good that he never ever would have been heard of that it is that he would have been a big star. And no matter what kind of star he became, it would have been different. There would be no Billie Jean song. There would be no Beat It. There would be no Dirty Diana. There'd be no Leave Me Alone. There'd be no Childhood. There's so much The Stranger in Moscow, the songs I've explained and stuff. None of those songs would exist. It's not possible unless Michael Jackson has lived and had the life experience of what I'm saying, which is clearly documented, and it's all there for everybody to see. But fans, I just need fans to be a fan. How can you call yourself a fan if you don't care about Michael Jackson's actual life experience of which he used to create his art? And these people go around there and they call themselves fans. And they attack me and my story because they can't deal with reality, because they're not fans. What they are is they steal, like I said, they're all thieves. They just steal from Michael Jackson. They don't care about him. All they want to do is steal from him to lift themselves up, to make themselves think that they're more than what they are. You know, it's like, this is what I got to deal with and stuff. And it's like, when am I going to find people that are either just good people or actual Michael Jackson fans? Because that's what I need. You don't have to be a Michael Jackson fan. You just got to be a good person. You can see the truth of my story. And you don't got to be a good person. You could just be a real Michael Jackson fan, and you would see the truth of my story. But if you can't see the truth in my story, it's because you're not a good person and you're not a real Michael Jackson fan. You know? And then you're left with what you are in society. Society is just going to eat you up. If that's the kind of person that you are, you're not going to have a good life. Nobody's going to actually like you. That's the life you're going to live. You know, you'll have all these friends. Nobody likes you. Because you're all fake and shit, right? You live in a fake world, a fantasy land and shit. It's ridiculous and shit. If you can't deal with reality, if you don't care about Michael Jackson's life, if you think that this is coincidence, if you can't see that this is evidence, that there's no way possible that this is coincidental. This is not coincidence. This could have only existed with the story of what I'm explaining. You know, so I don't know how much more to do. It's like, the thing is with my story, it's like, dude, how much harder do I got to hit it? How much more do I got to explain to you? How much proof more do I got to show you so you can just get to the point where you say, you know what, Diana Ross could be Michael Jackson's mother. When you actually look at the evidence, it does line up. And the chain of events that are happening really only makes sense when you look at it from the lens of Diana Ross being Michael Jackson's mother. Because when you look at it as Michael Jackson being a Jackson, what's occurring is weird. It doesn't make sense. And not only does it make sense, it could not happen. There's no way that it would be happening. The way Diana Ross is talking about Michael Jackson, that he's just sitting there in the audience by himself, those things could not happen. They would not be allowed to happen. And then later on, you got Diana saying, Michael, be part of my family, a lot of our bone structure, because our bone structure, it's so abnormal and shit, right? So, okay, that's enough for now. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.